Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Stranger Things 3, Chapter 8, The Battle of Starcourt. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. Long episode, big finale.
Yep. A lot of action.
I was pumped for this episode. In fact, like within an hour of us recording the Season 7 review, I went to
Episode
watch
7.
it. Oh, the episode 7, sorry, not season 7. The episode 7 review. But within, as soon as we were done recording, I basically was like, I was going to watch a movie today. I was like, no. We've reviewed 7 now. I can watch 8. I can watch the finale.
Worth noting that we never do that, really, because we typically watch within a few hours of us recording, so it's fresh.
Yeah.
P just couldn't wait.
No.
And then fell asleep.
And for the record, I have done that multiple times this season of Stranger Things. Normally, I'm quite happy to wait till the next day we're recording and just watch it, that night before we record.
I haven't, because usually by the time we finish, it's like 3 in the morning, and I'm in work at like 8.
Hey, I'm always happy to start earlier. So,
I don't know, but by the time I get home from work, everything else, it's like by the time I've watched everything, then it's like, oh Jesus, it's this time.
All right, well, I'm just saying the option's open. We can shift to an earlier schedule. But season finale, Stranger Things 3, still in the mall to begin with. Got the stupid thing in Eleven's leg. Jonathan jumps into action, gets a butcher knife, heats it up.
It's the most useful he's ever been.
It's the most useful he's ever been. For some reason, he's the first one to think, no, wait to cut this sumbitch out. I'm going to go and heat a blade.
I've never seen him so proactive. This is weird.
And not even just this, though. Even later on with the car, where he's like, "No, we need this cable. We don't need to get on the car. We just have to get the cable."
Suddenly, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's sensible all of a sudden. And we know Hopper and that's on the way. And they actually quite quickly they kind of established that they're thinking what we're thinking. It's like, okay, because Bauman's like, you don't know it's your kids that are at the mall. It's like, yeah, we do. It's them.
It's always them.
So they're cutting the thing out. He can't quite get to it.
Because Lewin then has to put his hand in to try and grab it out,
and it's moving around. You can see it going around under the skin.
Yeah.
And Eleven eventually is like, no, let me do it. I can do it. And she uses her power, and she has to focus so hard that the glass behind her, the store behind her, the entire window just shatters. And when she finally pulls it out and throws it across the mall, and it's squidging along, and then you see a boot stomp on it, and then that's how they introduce Hopper and the adults have arrived, and then titles. And it's like everyone's here, the whole gang's together to establish where we're going next. And credit where credit's due. So obviously they explain to each other what they've all kind of learned, right?
Yeah,
so
a little bit of a catch up.
Russians under the mall. Mind Flayers built this weapon which is kind of connected to them, which conveniently, if they shut the gate, it'll disconnect the connection. And again, yeah, and it'll stop the Mind Flayer weapon. So, very simple. It gives them a clear goal. And I think what I appreciate in Stranger Things is that they never have the adults, because, Bauman comes out with the maps. He's like, oh, we have to do this. And then Dustin and Eric are like, come on now, right? Pay attention, listen up. Here, there's a vent that goes from this room to that. And he starts, talking them through it. And they're all just kind of staring at him like, wait, what? And then he's like, so you won't last 5 minutes unless you have me and Erica to guide you.
I love Bauman in this scene. Actually, through this whole episode, but... It's Eric. It's like, what, you're like 4. What the hell are you doing? You don't know this shit.
I'm 10, you bald bastard. Was the line of dialogue I think you'll find. And then Lucas is like, Erica, and she's like, what? Just the facts. And then Dustin goes, I agree. Oh dear, he's a bald bastard. Those are the facts. Bald and bastard. The facts. So
he's not wrong.
But then Hopper's like, no, you can navigate, but you can do it from a safe distance. And then like, nah, the walkie-talkies won't work down there. But we've already learned from episode 1 that we can send a signal down there if you use the super duper Cerebro. Yes. Yeah. Obviously named after the X-Men room that...
Oh, of course. Did we not talk about that in episode 1?
I don't think we did. I don't think we mentioned that. That's clearly what
was it one of those things that we just assumed was too obvious to us?
Yeah.
We just brushed over it?
Yeah, I don't think we mentioned it.
And then we nerded out over every DC reference for the rest of the show.
Look, we're DC fans, all right? You're just going to accept that. Right? So, and I actually laughed because it was like the first people to leave the mall were Dustin and Steve's team, even though they were the ones who were in the mall all season. But it's like, we need a car, we can go to the tower and do this. So obviously it's like, okay, Steve, take Dustin and Erica and they can direct us. And he's all excited.
Off in the Todd father.
Off in the Todd father. He's all excited about the convertible.
Steve's the daddy now.
He's the daddy now. So they drive off. All very entertaining. But no, I like that when they say, no, we can navigate you. Hopper's like, no, I'm not taking two children that and at least one of you I know well enough to care about. I'm not that irresponsible of an adult, right? I'm not doing it. I'm not taking you down.
I'm not drunk enough for that.
Yeah, he's like, no, you're just not doing it. And even Elle, when he's with her, and because he's kind of like, he's got ice on her leg, and he's sort of like holding her while they're learning all that information. Afterwards, she's like, I should go with you. I can fight. And he's like, yeah, better than any of us can. Like, he knows that she would be useful if she did go down. But
as he says, it's not looking for him; it's looking for her. So, no point in bringing her down where they need to be. It's in a roundabout way using her as a distraction.
Yeah, I think there's almost some flawed logic here where he thinks it's going to be more dangerous down at the gate, which inadvertently leaves them all defenseless up here when the monster actually comes.
I'm not sure if that's entirely true though. I think it's more like, I think he's slightly being pragmatic, weirdly, for Hopper, in that if he brings her down and the Mind Flayer comes down to get her, because it will find a way, then it makes turning the gate off even harder.
Don't get me wrong. Obviously, Hopper expects them to be in the car and on the move. Like, he expects them to get out of the mall and leave.
Yeah.
Because they're all planning on going. He thinks Joyce is even leaving, and he's surprised that she's sticking around, and it's a 3-man job. So they're going down together. Obviously, they've got a key card from Dustin. Not that they really need even his, because they've just killed 3 guards. They've got, or 11 did.
They're around.
Yeah, they've got key cards coming out the ass at this point.
But they know this one has clearance.
Yes,
so.
That's true. So, yeah, so they get down there, and we think all the kids are leaving. Of course, Billy's outside in the car, sort of like revving the engine.
He's just sitting there,
and he's stolen.
And they're going, shit, why is the car not starting?
Yeah.
And he's just there revving.
Yeah, he's stolen the cable, so they all run back inside.
I love the pure style that the Mind Flayer has. He steals the cable and then just sits there and waits for them, like a decent distance.
Do you know what I think it is, actually? I think there's still some of Billy's personality in the Billy drone, if that makes sense. And I'm not just doing this to make a reference to the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but I do think of it's kind of like they're vampires where the vampire, like the demon, like gets the body and takes over, but the personality of the vampire is still based on whoever the human was. It's like
it's
stuff...
still some abstraction of that.
Yeah. That was always a big thing in that show, and I'm thinking it's the same, and that's why Billy's revving the car. I don't think the Mind Flayer has a particular taste for cars or, being cool.
It's just the Mind Flayer's like, oh, he's got them trapped. It's like, no, I'm going to sit here. I'm going to wait till they realize they can't start, and then I'm going to ram them.
And he's never going to ram them. Yeah, he's only going to ram them later because he's not going to get away. His plan is to just have them trapped here, so the big beast, can come and take care of business. So Dustin and the crew get up to the hill. And they try to drive all the way up the hill, which clearly this convertible is not designed for off-road.
No, but Steve's convinced that it's going to make it.
But they run up, and they're navigating, they're telling, but the air ducts and whatever. Down in the basement, or in the secret lab, Hopper mows down an entire row of Russians.
I love how he tries to talk his way out of it. It's like, hey, look, all these documents, it's just crumpled piece of paper. I got these documents for the lieutenant. And they're like, which lieutenant? Molotov?
Yes, Molotov, yes.
yeah. And that's when Hopper just guns him down, because they're not buying it.
Yeah.
Good attempt, though.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff with him, like speaking Russian to the other guards, and they're laughing away about booze or whatever.
He's got this maddeningly contagious laugh.
Yeah.
It's like with Alexei, the car last time.
Hopper's just...
The two of them are just laughing, and like, what are you doing? He's like, Joyce is like, what are you doing? Laughing? You're best friends. And he's like, well, he was nice.
Hopper's just smiling awkwardly and nodding, which is a recurring thing here. Is that because they split up, because Bauman goes to like get the red alert going so that they can then steal the 2 keys they need to shut off the machine, which is the plan. And And when he gets separated, he's like, hey, like if anyone says anything to you, just nod and
Just smile
smile.
and nod.
Yeah. So, but of course, the monster's coming. They're trying to flip the car. Elle tries to do it, can't do it with her powers. She can't then crumple the can. She tries to do the same thing she did in season 1 when we first saw her use her powers, basically.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't the first time we saw it, but it was the first, in chronological.
First time she used them.
And she can't do it. And obviously, we end the episode still, and she's still not able to do it. Obviously, this is going to be a big moment in season 4 when their powers kick back in.
It'll be like 2/3 through.
Yeah, it's going to be the Spider-Man No More return to power.
Yeah. It'll be the saving probably Mike at the end of Act 2.
Yeah. So, but the main flares come in. They get a cable. They run out. Jonathan's trying to get it going, and then Billy's coming towards them. Nancy pulls out the handgun that she took from one of the guards, and she's firing into it. And one of the things I'll say about this show is it's not always unpredictable, because I knew it was about to happen. There's a couple of moments in this episode where I knew exactly how they were going to be saved in a situation.
Yeah.
And this was one of them. But I'm not complaining, because it didn't make either moment any less satisfying. This was still extremely cathartic.
Yeah, it's something we talk about a lot, that sometimes the predictable thing is the right thing to do, because it's the thing that makes sense, because it's been set up. Because
obviously up in the hill, Dustin and that see that the flares on the roof of the mall and breaking in and stuff, and Steve's like, because when the gang in the mall first realize they're in danger, they call for emergency transport, or when the car's not working, they call for emergency transport, and they don't get them. But then at this point, they see them, they try and call in, and when they can't get a hold of the gang in the mall, Steve's like, well, shit, I'm going to go and try and get them out of there. And Robin goes with them. So we know they're on their way. It's kind of a big deal of a moment. But actually, we've skipped over the best scene of the entire show, though. So we have to go back. So
I don't think we have skipped over it. If it's the scene that I think it is, because Steve and Robin are already gone at that point.
No, because when this best scene happens, the gang from the mall are also in the car with them. This is after Steve's got the rest of them out. So, oh yeah, right, yeah. We're not skipped over it.
So we haven't skipped it, so it's coming next.
Yeah, you're right. So
sorry, I was really confused for a second at how that was actually.
There's a lot of going to and from the mall with Steve, okay?
There is, you're right, but...
Anyway, so Steve rams over the car. The car's coming into Nancy. Nancy's emptied the clip. She ducks in fear. She knows she's about to die. As Steve comes in, and hits him.
Like the hero he is.
Steve.
The Batman with his Robin.
The Batman with his Robin, and saves the day. Obviously, car's not in great condition at this point.
Yeah, it's a bit crumpled. And he's upset about that because he quite liked that car.
Yes, but some of them managed to get away, but not all of them, because Mike, Elle, and Max get chased off by Billy somewhere around here, whereas a lot of the others, when the chaos is happening, Robin and Steve jump on the back of the Nancy's
wagon with
mum car, like her family car. Because that's what it is. It's like a proper family wagon type car.
It is a proper saloon wagon.
Yeah. And they go driving off because they're getting chased by the monster at this point, which is notable because, and what I liked about this is that it's clear that the Mind Flayer thinks Elle's in that car, so it's chasing the car. But as soon as Billy sees Elle later on, it
goes away.
It completely turns around, because we actually skipped over some of the stuff when the Mind Flayer's first in the mall and they're all hiding in the various stores. They're sort of split in two. And we have Ellen, Mike, and Max kind of hiding behind some of the, the racks in the various stores.
Slingshot, making the noise. I think he pops a balloon.
Yeah, it's really cool because Lucas saves their ass because it's about to find them and he distracts it by, hitting the balloon.
Yeah.
So the slingshot comes back in style, and then it freaks out and looks around. So and this is why they get separated. Actually, it's why some of them are at the car and some of them aren't, because they've been split up at this point. And obviously,
this episode is kind of so much just one big thing that's jumping back and forth. Everything's cutting around.
It's such an action-packed episode, and I think there's a solid argument for this being the best episode of the show. It's such, I think one of the things you have to look at with Stranger Things is, even though we're reviewing it episode by episode, is that the finales have all proven to me that in a lot of ways they are 8-hour movies, in the sense that they introduce a lot of things early on that come back in the finale. You know, there's a lot of things that come up in this one. That,
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
I was just trying to explain why we're kind of going, oh
I
yeah, and
know.
then that happened earlier, which we didn't talk about.
There's
'cause
so
it
much
was
going on.
It all just jumps constantly.
So they're being chased in the car by the big mind flayer monster, right? Dustin and Erica are on the hill, and it's at this point where in the underground lab, Hopper and Joyce, I think they might have had their heart to heart already, where she says she'll go on a date with them to the restaurant, and they can pick her up, and it's a nice sweet moment.
I might have had that already.
That might have happened before this point. I'm not sure.
I think it is. I think that's while they're waiting for Barman to do his stuff.
Yeah, that sounds right. So they're having this heart to heart, and they're kind of like mocking each other and doing each other's like parts of the argument. Like Hopper's annoyed she's not mad at him, and like rubbing it in his face that he didn't try and come back for the kids.
Like, what's the point? Because you'd only say this.
And it kind of gets across the idea that he does feel guilty, and he wants like to feel the pain and the guilt. It's part of his character is that he's kind of self-loathing. But yeah, they have this sweet moment. And in hindsight, given where it goes, it makes sense to give it them this kind of happy sort of ending moment. I mean, more on where this goes later. I've got a lot of thoughts on it, but
yeah.
In hindsight, just taking it at face value, it makes sense to give them this scene with Joyce.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Again,
it's another one of these callbacks to quite early in the season, maybe the first or second episode.
I think it was the second episode. So they get to the safe with the 2 keys in it. Put in the code. It's this mathematical formula.
Planck's constant.
There you go. And Bauman thinks he knows it, so he gives it to him, and it doesn't work. He's like, your code doesn't work. He tries it a couple of times, and obviously Dustin's on the radio with them. The others in the car can hear it again through Dustin as well. They're all hearing each other.
Yeah, and they're like, he's like, Planck's constant. I should know that. It's a number.
Yeah, and Dustin starts messing with knobs, and Erica's like, what are you doing? And it cuts away, and there's some of the other action that we were talking about plays out. And then at the end of one of the scenes, it just fades to black, and we cut to like a house somewhere. It's just an establishing shot, and it says, whatever, Ohio, right?
Utah,
Ohio, Utah, yeah. And I'm like, why did we just cut to a different town? What's happening?
So I love that is you can see the Cerebro.
Ah, can you?
You can see it up by the roof.
It cuts to a different town, and there's this house, and for a second I'm like, why are we cutting to a different house? And then it clicked. It took a second to click because it's been so long. It's been so long since we talked about.
I only got it first because I saw the Cerebro before the location came up.
And we come inside, and we finally have the epic entrance of Susie. She's in her bedroom, and she's doing whatever, and then we hear over the radio, "Susie, do you copy?" And this is what I'm talking about, where they bring things back, because the first episode of this season was called Susie, Do You Copy? And it's all brought back round full circle to the finale, where it becomes a pivotal plot point. And they're happy. We get Susie Pooh and Dusty Bin, was it?
Dusty Bun, that
was it. So,
he's never living that down.
And there's a reaction, like it cuts to like Steve is like, Susie, there's reactions. Eric is like,
no, because at first it's just Erica, because he's on their channel. Yeah. It's not until Erica says something and Susie hears her, and he's like, "Oh, it's just interference. How about we jump over to this channel?"
You're right. But but at one point there's a reaction from Steve where he says like, "This is Susie, I think," or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's like, "Oh, I need Planck's constant," and she's like,
"She's like, you should know this.
You should know that. And you're saving the world. Yeah, I bet you are." But she's very genuine. She's not making fun of him. She seems very happy to hear from him.
Saving the world from the Russians. Yeah, I bet you are.
And she's like, "Wait, I've not heard from you for a week, and you want me to give you this equation that you should know?" "Yeah, I don't know, Dustin." And he's like, "I'll make it up to you. You can make it up to me now. I want to hear it." And he's like, "Oh, not now," because he's
like, "Please no,
please no." Everyone's listening. He's like, "Well, fine. I'm going to go back to my TV show." That he's like, "Okay, wait, fine." And he takes his finger off the button for a second to go, "Shit." And then he presses the button. There's a moment of build up. He's like, "Turn around, tell me what you see." And so this is like we were joking all season about how Susie might be introduced, and none of them were right, and I am glad, because this is the best possible scene in this entire show.
Yeah, I'm sure at some point we said Susie will save the day.
Yes,
which technically true.
Yeah, there's some truth in that. She was pivotal to the plot. But they sing 2 full verses and choruses of the Never Ending Story theme song, And it's beautiful because he starts, and there's these little details that I love about it. Is that he starts and he's kind of nervous, he's kind of like quivering and shaking. And
He's cutting around to everyone, and everyone's going, "What the hell's going on here?"
Yeah, I mean, you get Erica's reaction. She's like gobsmacked. It's Steve and Robin sort of look at each other like, "What the hell?" But we save any more reactions for now, right? But the first couple of lines, his voice is kind of quivering. He's very nervous. But after the first couple of lines, when she comes in as the harmony, and then it cuts back to him, he's actually smiling as he sings it. It's like as soon as he hears her voice come in, he's actually forgotten that everyone else is listening, and he's just happy to be singing with his girlfriend. It's actually a really sweet moment when you pay attention to the way his reactions change throughout the voice and how confident he gets. And
I love that again. I think one of the favorite reactions that we got was Steve, because he's like, "Oh shit, she is real."
But like, so they do it, and it's the music comes in over Steve's reaction, and then after the first, because during the first chorus when they sing "Never Ending Story," her hand goes up, and if you've not seen that movie in a while, that's what the kid does on top of Falcourt at one point. Is the arm goes out. So she kind of mimics it, and then she starts dancing in her room, and he's still singing, and the music's coming in full swing, the backing track, and it's at this point where it starts cutting around Hopper, Bauman, the other kids in the car. It cuts around all these reactions, and then Erica again. And as funny as all the other ones are, it's cutting back to Erica's face mid-song that just broke me. She's just looking like completely deadpan at him. It's beautiful. And
this is the highlight of the season.
They get to the second chorus, and Dustin just sort of giggles because he didn't care anymore. He didn't care anymore. It was great. Yeah. And she gives him the number, and Hopper puts it in, and there we go.
Off they go.
We've got it.
He's like, "Thanks, Susie. See ya."
No. He tries to thank her, but because it's like, I want to thank you more. No, I missed you more. I missed you more, Susie.
And then Erica cuts him off.
Yeah, Erica cuts him off.
Enough of that shit.
Oh, so good. Anyway, so the stuff. But again, very menacing when Billy hits Max and then hits Mike and then literally just like knocks out 11 and like carries her out the room. Because later on, when the mind flayer is actually coming in, at one point she tries to get away and he literally just drags her by foot back to the same spot.
Yeah, no, he's not even looking at her. He's just walking. She's just behind him, and she's arms out trying to grab onto them, but it's a tiled floor. There's nothing there.
It's super menacing when it's super menacing when the mind flayer's there because she's on her own. She's powerless. Downstairs, Russian Terminator biker dude is showing up.
Interrupts them doing their countdown on the keys.
Yeah. So they start fighting down there with the machines going, and they're right next to the machine. It's like the spinning electrical part. So you know,
yeah, he's holding Hopper's head next to it at one point.
Yeah, Terminator dude's going into that machine. You know it's happening, and it's actually delightfully brutal once again.
And it's satisfying for about 5 seconds.
Yeah, because you realise it's cut him off from returning to the room,
and you're like, shit.
Yes, and then you go, oh crap. Is this going to be a death scene? Are we getting like a heroic sacrifice here?
Here's the a few episodes ago I said so it was spoiled for me.
Mm-hmm.
The headlines were because at this point, all the headlines were, is Harbour in season 4 of Stranger Things? I'm like, cheers, thanks, cheers, fellas.
The answer
that doesn't make me question what happens to him at all.
The answer's yes, but I'll get to why later.
Well, he is contracted for season 4.
I wasn't even going by.
That really means anything, but
yeah.
But one of the headlines was, yes, David Harbour is contracted for season 4 of Stranger Things. I'm like, right, okay.
My answers, I've got reasons for yes, but I'll get to those.
Sure, we'll get that. Yeah.
But yeah, so no, it's super dramatic. But the other big like jumping in at the last second, saving people moment that I was talking about is, so once the main flayer turns around, the car, them driving the car, Jonathan's like, no, okay, we're turning around. Let us going back for the other kids. We have to go back and like help. So main flayer's like in the middle of the mall, big open area. Elle's like lying there all helpless, and you think, shit. And it's one of those things where it just clicked, wait a minute. We've not used those fireworks yet.
No, we have not.
And all of a sudden, they're on either side in the balconies. They've split into teams, and they are just throwing fire. So not only are they bombarding the mind flayer with explosives, essentially, they're also fireworks. So it's a hell of a visual, because all the fireworks, when they hit them, are just going off.
I think one of my favorite things is, obviously we saw earlier in the season that all the bodies reacted in sync. And like it's Billy reacting when they hit the big mind flayer. I thought was
Yeah.
a great touch because it rarely focuses on him reacting, but you can always see it.
Yeah, no, it's such a great visual, and it's this thing where they've only got so many, and it's holding them off for for however long until Elle gets her strength back, until they close the gate downstairs, whatever it is. But
Yeah, because Dustin's screaming over the radio, going, "Come on, close it now!"
yeah, so such a great fun visual, and again, it gets everyone involved. For a show with so many characters that are on kind of the hero team, everyone had something to do with this episode. Everyone felt
Yeah, no, on that point, I think this season's done a lot better job. Like with Nancy and Jonathan in particular, I remember at the start of the season being a bit worried because I thought last season they were kind of a bit just on the side. I think the season's done a lot better job of integrating them into the main plot.
That's it. I think Nancy especially. Whenever they remember that she's good with firearms and that becomes relevant in the last chunk of the season, she tends to become very, very instrumental in terms of the team.
Yeah, even if she doesn't actually deal that much damage,
Yeah.
she's the protective one.
Yeah, she kind of becomes naturally kind of the leader of the kids, assuming that Hopper and Joyce aren't around.
Yeah,
or even just Hopper. I feel like even if Joyce is there, Nancy just by default is.
Joyce still, up until this episode, I would say she still panics a lot.
Yeah.
It's only in this episode where she has to turn the two keys at once, and she's kind of finally kind of pulled herself together and getting on with it, like Nancy has been.
She's definitely grown. I think Joyce as a character.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're at this point where Hopper, like the sad music starts playing up, the dramatic music, and there's this electrical kind of like spinning force field from the machine because the Russian dude went into it, and he can't get through, and he gives the look to Joyce to say,
the little nod, just do it.
Yeah, imagine it's almost like that scene in Man of Steel where Jonathan Kent says, "No, let the tornado take me," but not stupid.
Yeah, it's a noble heroic sacrifice.
Yes, it's not pointless. But here's the thing. Here's the thing with Hopper. Before we even get to the mid credit scene, which obviously we're going to talk about when we get there, is that afterwards, when all's said and done, obviously we see the other Russians like vaporize or whatever in their suits, but there's still suits and waste left, right?
I'm not sure. Because it literally exploded into, like, it was like they were ripped apart, like it was into like torn shreds. So I don't know how much was left.
I think there was matter. And when we look at the spot where Hopper was supposed to be standing, there was nothing. Right?
That's fair.
There was nothing. So I think, and I don't mind that he's still alive because I think he is. Obviously, in the mid-credit scene, there's a tease that there's an American in a Russian cell. I
noticed that the Terminator, when he came down the lift, is like the American, referring to Hopper.
That's true as well. I still think that may be a red herring, actually, that's Hopper. I think that's like supposed to be what you are meant to think.
I do as well. I think that's the obvious thing. It's thought, oh, maybe that's Hopper, but I think it's no one we can guess right now.
I think if it's someone we can guess, my money would be on Brenner from season 1. And that would explain why the Russians have gotten so far with all this tech. And
maybe one of the kids from season 2 off in the other city.
Yeah, one of the kids from season 2. That's not a bad idea, actually, as well. Yeah, one of the little superpowered kids.
Yeah,
I could see that. But just like the Americans used the L to open things and get things going. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. Hopper, my guess right now is that he's actually upside down.
that was my first thought.
Yeah, he jumped in to the point where I was actually expecting like do you know how at the end of season 1 we got the hint that Elle was still like somewhere? She was still like kind of communicating with us. I thought there was going to be like a moment where like a door like opened to 3 inches or something like that.
I could see it.
I thought something like that was going to happen, but yeah, before we get to that, so it's worth noting this is a long episode. It was like 75 minutes, and at this point there's still like a good 20 minutes left of the episode. Once we're at the climax of the big fighting stuff. And we do have to mention as well on the Elle Billy stuff is that Billy gets his kind of redemptive moment where
Elle breaks through to him. She talks about the memories that she saw.
Joe, I really like this. What really plays well for me for this redemption moment is that Elle, she breaks through to him using the good memories of her mother. And I like the idea that breaking free of the mind flayer is a lot like breaking free of someone who's abused you, right? And that's actually what happened in his life. His father was abusive. And It's almost like, and even though he wasn't literally controlled by his father, he kind of became this abusive asshole like his father. And to me, this moment was kind of him breaking out of that,
It was, yeah.
both that and the Mind
And
Flayer's actual literal control.
and yeah, as much as Billy's always been a complete dickbag, as I'm sure we said earlier in the season, he wasn't a killer, right? He
Yeah.
was never going to outright. Maybe he wouldn't be heroic if he wasn't forced into the situation. Don't get me wrong, but this all of this season wasn't his fault.
But that's the thing, though. It's not just that he has a heroic moment. He is specifically heroic against his abuser in this case. The Mind Flayer, and it goes to like, tentacle L, and he grabs it, and then he gets stabbed by multiple tentacles.
And he's holding it off for quite a while, though.
Yeah,
he's doing a damn good job.
And Max sees this.
Max's reaction hit hard.
Max is watching, and she goes over to him when he's dying after everything's all said and done. The Mind Flayer's down. And, and again, obviously we keep calling it the Mind Flayer because it's just easy to call it that. Obviously, the actual Mind Flayer is still in the Upside Down. It still exists.
This is the bit of the Mind Flayer that was out here.
Which does beg the question: is the final season, whatever one that may be, is that the full size Mind Flayer coming through a gate? Like,
well, who knows? Given the post credit scene.
So. No, like I thought that Max stuff worked really well. I think it did a really good job, and it's not like with Steve in season 2, where by the end of season 2, Steve is like one of the best characters when we didn't like him that much in season 1. But it is another sign of they know how to take a character and give them a redemption arc or give them something.
Just give them a moment.
Yeah, that makes them more relevant than
I think
before.
The memories were important in establishing why he was there. Otherwise, this just doesn't play. Even if El convinces him some other way, snaps him out of it. Without actually seeing that, no, he was a good kid, right? At the core, I think it never plays as well.
I think it could have played well if Max had been the one who convinced him.
Yeah.
If Max could have done it, it could have worked. Not that I have a problem with Elle doing it, given that she did see what she saw in his head, but that would have been one way it could have worked. But I think he says like "I'm sorry" before he dies.
He does,
when he's lying there, and the call to like Owens and the army did go through, because after everything goes down, we see the Dustin's up in the hill. Yeah, and it's a couple of things. We do get to see Owens. Paul Reiser shows up for a scene. He comes with the army. It was nice to see him just for a brief moment, just to it would have felt like they were avoiding showing him if he didn't, I guess. So it was just nice that he was there.
But they only need him for a day.
Yeah. But as the army storms the lab, and this is the other thing that maybe lends credence to the Russians took Hopper in some way, is that the Russians have all escaped. Yeah, they had a way out. They got out of there before the army show up. So,
yeah, I mean, I guess when they set off the alarms, they actually did evacuate most of them.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. So. My guess is Hopper's in the Upside Down, and I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem because I still think everything that plays with them mourning his passing after this still works.
Yeah.
Because Joyce comes out, and it's very reminiscent of some of the stuff in season 1 when they were all reunited again at the end after everything went down. Very emotional. Elle realizes that he's not there, and we jump ahead.
Just staring over at Elle.
Yeah. And I actually, it was right at that moment where I said, well, Joyce is going to adopt her, because
it's while she's hugging Will.
Yeah, because I mean, for two reasons. One, unlike most adults, she knows her whole situation and who she is and what she can do and what her backstory is. And two, like, out of like respect for Hopper, who was close with her, I feel like it makes sense that she would want to adopt her and give her a home.
Yeah,
but then, of course, I thought, but is she going to move now? Like, I bought that she wasn't going to in the conversation with Hopper, but now that Hopper's also died, it's like,
well, what's left for her here?
Yeah. So it jumps ahead 3 months. And sure enough, they are still moving, and which I don't mind. It's very sad that they're moving, and there's a lot of great little sad scenes here with them saying goodbye to everyone and like the crying and all sorts. But it does make sense to me from an audience kind of like build up kind of thing, because when they see each other again in season 4, when Elle and Nat come back to town, it's going to be a big moment. It's going to feel like a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, they say that they'll see each other before. They say Thanksgiving, which this is
Christmas.
October. So they'll see each other in a month, and then a month after that. So it won't be like they won't see each other at all.
Yeah, but I can see it playing a big deal where they're going to be separate in season 4 until
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they come back to town, assuming
Yeah.
it plays that way, which it
Do
may
you
or
know
may
what?
not.
Actually, before I forget, this sequence of events here has one of my only problems with the episode.
Do you hate that it shows you them leaving and saying goodbye, but then it shows you the bit before that after it?
Yeah, I really hated that. It completely undercut the moment for me.
It's because they wanted that last shot to be the door shutting.
I know, but
I
I
know.
feel like
It was weird. I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of a weird. It's a very minimal complaint in the grand scheme of the episode, but
overall, it is a fantastic episode. Don't get me wrong. I think this stings a little more because it's the end. This is the final shot, and as the final shot's happen, I'm going, but why are we doing this now? What just happened? It's a little frustrating in that regard.
So just little things that happened during this helping them pack and stuff scenes is Max and Lucas making fun of Dustin singing Neverending Story.
Oh, I can't wait for that still to be a thing next season.
Yeah.
Everyone calling him Dusty Bun, and just he's never living it down because that's how teenagers work.
Because they say to him, "I'll let us hear a verse," and he's like, "Because he's like, oh, you're singing it wrong." And he's like, "Well, let us hear it." Then he's like, "No, that's for Susie's ears only, and no one else." It's gold stuff. And then, of course, we have Mike and 11. She can't use her powers to get because she can't quite reach to the teddy bear. It's on the closet. And Mike gets as far as like, no, I'm sure they'll come back, and I'm sure they will. Like, we're going to have the big moment.
They'll trigger for some reason or another.
Yeah. But she's like, hey, that day, because she heard him. We didn't know for sure if she'd heard him say he loved her that day in the cabin, but she brings it up, and I actually like that he's still too cowardly to actually come out and say it. He doesn't quite get it.
And this is even after he tried saying it in the supermarket.
Yeah, where he kept dancing around it. Where he's like,
what was the phrase he kept using?
It was that phrase where this thing makes you crazy.
That was it.
Yeah, he's like, and she's like, girlfriends? No.
It's like, no. Old people say it.
Yeah.
She's like, what? Old people?
So, yeah. So, but now she recognizes that he won, but she knows he does because she did hear him say it. So she just comes out and says, "I love you too," and he's standing there all like, "Whoa." So it's a nice moment for them. And Jonathan and Nancy get this moment as well, and with her saying goodbyes, he's kind of emotional. And the funny thing is I would actually buy that we were losing all these characters if it wasn't for the fact that Eleven was going with them.
Yeah,
I could buy that Will's family were leaving the show at this point.
No, I agree. I think Joyce would have been the only one that I'd questioned because Jonathan, up until this episode, he's kind of just been Nancy's partner, right? He's been to be with her plot, but for the most part, he hasn't really had anything. Will has been feeling left behind for a while now. Well, I think I said it earlier in the season that he's kind of, he was just hanging on the group, and they didn't have any plot for him. He was just, we'll throw him one of the groups that's established already. I think Joyce is the only one that feels like, no, she was probably a main enough character to keep around.
Yeah, don't get me wrong though. I do think there's some interesting stuff to do with Will. I think the one cool thing they've done with him this season is this idea that because he's been through these traumatic experiences, that he's not grown up the same rate as everyone else has. Everyone else, that whole it's not my fault you're not a girls thing. And that could turn out to be like a plot line about his sexuality, which we might go down that path. But I do honestly think a lot of it is he's just not been able to grow up in the same way that everyone else
absolutely,
has.
Yeah.
So I think that is actually interesting. I think there's stuff to explore there next season. So, we have all this, but the big thing that happens after we get the goodbyes and they're actually driving away is we cut back before, like we said, to when Elle gets the letter, which was the speech that Hopper was going to make that Joyce helped him with, again, back in like episode 2. Yeah. And we find out that he actually added a lot to it. He amended it and added a bunch of stuff.
What I loved about this is as soon as it started, and it did the voiceover reading the letter, and even then, it was still reading it like really short and not with a natural flow like you would be if you were reading this to someone.
Yeah, and then he kind of like goes, no, that's not good enough, and he sits down and he starts writing more, and this is when we hear the new stuff we didn't hear. And he talks about how she filled this void in his life where he was happy again because because we know, because he was such an unhappy character in season 1, the death of his daughter that broke up his marriage, all that stuff. He was this troubled character, and she gave him life again. And we actually hear him refer to himself as her dad in this letter, and it's really touching. And he's like, the reason why I'm so mad with this thing and you changing is I miss, there was a time when we played board games every night. There was a time when we made breakfast together every morning, and you kind of filled up my life, and I was scared of change. But it's
I think
selfish for me to,
it's actually really funny how this parallels Mike so much.
hmm?
With the wanting to spend all the time together, and and be like, oh no, she has to again, change, and she's her own person, and it was the same here with Hopper. It was the exact same arc essentially.
Kind of, yeah, but not only just from Mike's side, though, but also from outside of Mike, in the sense that the other kid's been mad at him that he wanted to spend time with Elle. Again,
Oh
it's
yeah, yeah.
change and so on. It's very much a theme of the season in a lot of ways. But and he talks about how it's selfish for him not to want her to change, and he accepts that. But for your dear old dad, could you please just keep the door 3 inches open? And it's really touching, and she laughs at the end of it, and it's really sweet. It's a great little speech. And I don't mind it. He's alive. Like, I really don't. Like, I think this works anyway, because they're going to go a while without him. Because it's going to, like, if I was to make a guess right now as to when season 4 happens and we get it, I think the target is next Christmas, 2020. And my reason for thinking that is, we had a season 1 was just set in the fall. I know there was like the one scene at the end at Christmas, but that wasn't set during Christmas. It was just that one, because there was like a month skip at the end. Season 2 was Halloween. Season 3 was July 4th, summer. I think they want to do a Christmas season, and I think that's a nice timing in terms of like getting it made.
I think if you don't do Christmas, I can see like a Valentine's one with all the kids coupled up.
Oh yeah, I could see that. I'm hoping it's Christmas, not just because it's a little bit sooner, and because it means it's not as much of a wait as season 3 was.
They don't have to hit the exact time period that the show is set.
They've done it the last 2 seasons, though. They're going to.
They've done the last 2, yeah. I'm not disputing that.
And I think we would be crazy if we weren't expecting a Christmas season.
Yeah.
This is the show to do it. Which actually leads me to another thing that I think is going to happen in season 4. And this isn't just for the jokes. But given that the mid-credit scene says that we're still with Russians, and given that next season will likely take place towards the end of 1986, there is no way in hell that Chernobyl does not factor in some way or shape or form into the plot of Stranger Things season 4. I'm saying it now because I'm going to. Do you know what I think is going to happen? I think Chernobyl's actually going to be caused in some way by whatever the Russians are doing. I think
probably. Yeah.
I think Reactor 4 goes not because of the.
Well, alternatively, Reactor 4 going causes something.
Oh sure, yeah, Reactor 4. Yes, Dyatlov inadvertently causes stuff happening with the gate or something.
Maybe you know how they had to come to Hawkins because it was weak there.
Yeah.
The breach between worlds was weak there because it had already been opened once. Maybe the events at Chernobyl actually weakened the breach in that area for them. Like in the Soviet area, so that they're like, oh, we don't have to go all the way to America now. Which
is fascinating to me, like how much we get in Russia. I still think it's going to be mainly set in Hawkins. I don't think we're going to have the kids traveling to Russia, but I do think whatever happens then will lead them back to Hawkins in some way.
Because they have a Demogorgon.
They have that's the mid-credits scene.
As much as things change, stuff stays the same.
Yeah, they've got a Demogorgon. It looked a bit smoother to me than season 1's Demogorgon, but it's been since I watched season 1, so maybe.
No, I was saying that as well, but I don't know if it actually is, and we've forgotten, or if it's just because we were coming off the bumpy, oozy, slimy mind flayer thing.
And they're feeding it prisoners, but not the American, as they point out.
Too valuable, I assume.
Too valuable. So, yeah, and that's where we get the big big title coming in at the end. As we've done at the end of every season. Did get a few credits before that though. They played it a little bit fast and listened. No, we're gonna do a little mid-credit thing this year.
Yeah.
Which is fun. Although this we did gloss over one scene after the time jump that I think is worth talking about. Is Steve and Robin going to get jobs at the video place, and we see the douchebag from season 2 who ran the store.
Now, I didn't check on IMDb.
Yes.
Is he the guy from Series of Unfortunate Events? Is he one of the hench people?
Yes, he is. That's him.
Thank God. I was like, I'm sure it's him, but I didn't actually check.
Yeah. So yeah, he was in season 2 a bit more because he was at the arcade. But this is still the arcade. This is like one of these multi-connected places. And he's high up enough in the corporations, as it were, to hire people. So Robin and Steve go in, and Steve's nervous because, well, no, they'll hire you because you're like smart and a nerd and know your movies. Like, they're not going to hire me. and he's like. He's questioning him about the mall because there's a lot of video package that plays actually of like the news, like the mayor being arrested and like the hoax
the
and
conspiracy
yeah,
theories.
yeah. And he's like, okay, top 3 movies go, and Robin hits him with The Apartment, Hidden Fortress, and Children of Paradise. I think was the third one, which notably is the only one out of the 3 I have not seen, which is why I don't remember it as well. But I'll make a point of watching it before season 4, just for the fact that I can't have Robin out film nerding me. How dare she? But quality answers. And then Steve, what's your 3 favorite movies? Movies, you say? Weekend at Barney's for sure.
No, it was Animal House.
Oh, it was Animal House. Sorry, yeah, you're right.
Animal House was the one that he came up with straight away.
Yeah,
I was like, of course he would. Oh, that is such a classic Steve movie.
Yeah, some dumb comedy from the early 80s. Yeah, and then he's like, "Oh, the one with the car." And the time travel. He's trying to talk about Back to the Future.
That's the third one. Because the second one, he goes, "Oh, Star Wars," and he's like, "What? A New Hope?" He's like, "What? What now?" It's like, "Which Star Wars?" Oh, the one with all the teddies.
Yes, that's everyone's favorite, right?
Yeah.
And then he ends up walking into a Fast Times stand up of.
He's like, "Hey, this one, top 3 for sure."
Yeah. I like how they got that in there though, because we've been talking about Phoebe Cates all season. And Robin's like, look, listen, right? You don't have him here to know his movies. You have him here because all the when we were at the ice cream place, we had to order an extra ice cream from like the next state because so many girls came in to see Steve, right? And they're not all going to he's not going to have time for all of them. Some of them will, there'll be leftovers. So and he's like, what's in it for you? And I'm just like, wait, I'm like, how's she going to answer this? Like, is it, are you a couple or something? He's like, no, we're just good friends. And it was a nice little sort of summation of the season's plot with them.
It was,
yeah. Which I thought was cool. So I like that it confirms that Robin's sticking around. Not that I thought she was leaving or anything, but
I hope we get more Bauman as well, because I think one of my favorite moments of this episode, amongst everything, is Dustin trying to radio him, and after he's been like radio silence,
yeah,
he's just like, "Oh, I hate kids."
Yeah, because he's like, this is Team Scoop, I think it was like Scoopers,
Scoop something, yeah.
Come in, Bald Eagle. He's like, yes, I'm here. Here's your call sign. Yes, Bald Eagle is here. He's like, Roger that, Bald Eagle. And then I noticed the kids in the mall were the Griswold family, which is the National Lampoon's Vacation family, for anyone who didn't get that reference. So, yeah, full of fun stuff there. Now, this was a delightful episode. It was packed. It was action-packed. It was, and it went in so quick. It was 75 minutes, but it felt nothing like that. It felt like it
was
flew
so
in.
fast.
Yeah. This was all the payoff to everything all season, and so many things from the early episodes came into play.
No, this was great. This was a great season. Easily outranks 2 for me. 1, gut reaction, I would say this is better, but I haven't seen 1 in a long time, so I'm not willing to commit to that.
I think 3 is better than 1. I think 1 has that new fresh sort of feel to it, where it was like, I can't believe something this exactly like this exists, and that was special because of it. I think 3 is like this culmination of everything I love about this show playing off, and firing off in all cylinders. It makes me so pumped for season 4 and whatever they're going to do, because each season's kind of had its own thing and kind of its own movies that it's playing off of. And it makes me wonder, is the mall still technically there in season 4? I mean, it did burn down, but I mean, it'd be weird if there wasn't a mall, because of course someone else would come in and rebuild the mall, because it's a mall. But it
won't be as key a location.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. But it makes me think, what is the key kind of thing that we're focusing on? Which is why I think Christmas would be an interesting setting in terms of time.
Yeah, I'm sure at one point they spoke about doing a bit of a time jump, like a couple of years. I'm sure I remember that being tossed around, kind of just after season 2, when they were talking about their general plan for the show.
Yeah, well, we know that they've talked about it not going past 5 seasons. It could just be 4, and they might do a 5th, but it wouldn't go past 5, depending on what their plans are.
Yeah.
And that was back before season 2 came out. So I would imagine by now they've probably solidified what their plan is.
Probably. And obviously, Netflix have given us no official word yet, but season 4 is happening. There's no doubt.
Literally, the articles I saw in the last week about Stranger Things was that it broke season 2's records for the views in the first weekend. So,
I know. I mean, there's absolutely no doubt whatsoever. It is far and away Netflix's biggest hit. Just definitively, it is.
part of me doesn't. I mean, I expect that at some point, just because obviously, if they're taking like a year and a half between the seasons, or in this case, almost 2 years, like obviously the kids are aging, so they explain the aging a little bit better if they do a bigger jump at one point. However, just for the purpose of tying in Chernobyl, I want I want next season not to be that one.
We can still have Chernobyl be referenced as what got the Russians going, though.
Because Chernobyl obviously happens early in the year. My hope is that Chernobyl goes, the real mind flare comes out of the Chernobyl plant, and it spends the next few months up until Christmas actually walking across the Atlantic to get to the US.
No. What if it flays all the Soviets? So instead of just being Russians, they're mind flayed.
Okay.
So it's got a literal army of Russians to invade, to come and get El with.
All right. Here's another question though. So the Russians have got a Demogorgon, right? And it's not because obviously the Demogorgon, when it came out in Hawkins, was just kind of like free roaming and killing things. They've got it trapped. They've actually managed to cage this thing.
Yeah.
So it begs the question, like, are they developing things with its DNA? Are they actually learning things that we don't know?
Are they trying to train it?
Yeah, did they weaponize it in some way? If not by training it, by like using its DNA or its parts and whatever. Like what crazy stuff have they got ready? And like obviously, again, we expect the main story to take place in Hawkins because it has to. I imagine we'll get a subplot in Russia with whoever the prisoner is, maybe as we go early on. But I have to imagine that, unless here's something I could see happening. I wonder if like through the Upside Down you could actually travel to Russia, like without a great distance.
Just go in and out.
Yeah,
if it's open at both ends.
Yeah, like does it act as a portal essentially? I could see that being a thing later in the season where the kids eventually have to go into the Upside Down and then end up coming out.
The only thing is, from what I vaguely remember of season 1, it felt like a real true representation.
It mirrored the entire town.
Yeah, because I can think of Will like running around in the woods.
Yeah. I wouldn't be against though if they came up with a new rule that said it could.
No, I mean sure.
Yeah. If it gets them out in the other end, so that we can get them in the Russian base or whatever at the end of the season, sure.
That'd be cool.
But no, super fun, super fun. What movies came out in 1986? Aliens comes out in 1986. I want to say Critters does as well. I'm almost surprised they didn't make any Gremlins references yet, because that was 1984. They could have done that in season 2 and this season.
I think there's much they mentioned Phoebe Cates, right?
Yeah. True. Then what reference to Phoebe Cates movies is what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, but I think they did kind of say, I think at the start, Dustin said, Phoebe Cates from Gremlins was how he introduced her, right?
Oh, I can't remember what the line was. You might be right. I'm just thinking that because, like, I don't remember if season 1 did, but season 2 and 3 have definitely used whatever movie was out at the time to kind of like, give it the time capsule feel of like, okay, this is the part in history we're at. And I could see season 4 doing that again with something.
We don't have anything Gremlinsy in season 1, or was that too early?
That was too early.
It feels like that was the season that was most appropriate.
Nah, because season 1 was a year before Gremlins, and obviously it was a year after E.T., so it made sense to have sort of the E.T. feel in the bikes and all that.
We never did it with like the little demidog stuff in 2, did we?
Well, what was funny is that stuff, if anything, that felt more Aliens referencing than it did anything else. But obviously,
it did with the okay, now there's more.
But obviously, we didn't have Aliens yet to reference in 1984, so they've not done that yet. So I'm not sure if they will reference Aliens, but it's the biggest thing I can think of from '86 off the top of my head. Because all the other stuff is all sequel. I mean, that is a sequel as well, admittedly, but I don't see them specifically referencing.
Got Top Gun.
Yeah, okay, Top Gun.
Ferris Bueller. That seemed,
It's a year before RoboCop. That's a season 5 thing.
Highlander.
Maybe. Joe, it wouldn't shock me actually. It wouldn't shock me because the kids are all a bit older. They're all going to probably be in high school next season. It wouldn't shock me if they actually reference more slasher movies just because of their. Obviously, they had Max and Michael Myers outfit last year, but I wonder if because of their ages they can play
slightly more appropriate for them.
More slasher tropes, so we get more like Freddy and Jason references. Because by the time 1986 rolled around, you'd have been on your third Nightmare on Elm Street, you'd have been on your 5th or 6th Friday the 13th. I could see them joking with that stuff a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
And if we do have Russians who are flayed and they're acting more like a slasher killer, maybe that's how you play that.
Yeah, because we played with the Terminator angle a lot this season.
We did, yeah. Which again, kind of like how last season actually had the ads for the Terminator on TV, so it was kind of that time capsule thing. This season was more like how they referenced Aliens last season, in the sense that it was like, no, we're going to just have like a element of the plot that kind of calls to it thematically.
Thematically ties to it, yeah.
Where everyone clearly gets that they're doing this movie and the actions, but not. Yeah. So no.
Yeah, this was damn good.
That was fantastic. I was skimming it before we came on. I wanted to just go through it and remind myself of all the scenes.
Because tell the viewers, how many days has it been since you watched this?
I watched this on Monday night, and we were recording on Wednesday night.
Why is that?
It's only one day late for recording.
I know. I just want you to say it because you do it to me all the time.
All right, okay. And this was the 1 in 99 that I fell asleep. Okay.
It says 1 in 99. The only reason you got the Stranger Things last time that you did, episode 7, is because Pete actually fell asleep Monday evening as well, and we were meant to do like 2 or 3 other things, but we were like, well, we'll just about fit this in.
Hey, hold on a second. Stranger Things went up as scheduled on the day it was meant to go up. It was never late.
Yes, just about.
It was never late.
Uh-huh.
And this one is also not late. This one's always been scheduled for tomorrow. So we're on time.
Convenient, isn't it?
We're on time. I knew what I was doing. It's fine.
Uh-huh.
I knew what I was doing. But yeah, I love this show. I just want to make that clear. And the thing I was saying though is I was skimming the episode before, and it got to the never-ending story scene, and I watched that whole scene. I did not skip through that. I was like, no, I'm sitting watching this whole bit.
Yeah, you can probably find the whole scene on YouTube already. Netflix have probably put it up on their own YouTube already.
It is up. There was someone made a loop 10-hour version of it, but it got taken down quite quickly.
Well, that's disappointing.
There was one official version that stayed up.
How long till it's on Spotify?
They should do an official release.
They did it for Black Mirror, so why not?
For Dustin and Susie singing Never Ending Story. And if I have a wish list for season 4 beyond the things we've talked about already, it's like I don't know what movie they're going to kind of like, because obviously this season we said was a lot of The Thing meets Invasion of the Body Snatchers meets whatever, them all fighting the monster and them all kind of like, it calls back to a few different things, I guess.
Yeah.
But like whatever movies they're going to do, I don't know off the top of my head, because obviously those aren't necessarily from that year. That's like a mix of things. And they did a bit of Terminator, of course, with the Russian guy. It wouldn't surprise me if we do get things like I don't know. I mean, yeah, more slasher movie stuff. I guess that's my best guess right now. I mean, it's one of the things they'll use.
The only other thing I can possibly imagine, and this is a stretch, don't get me wrong, is
okay.
You know the way that the Terminator was not this year, it was referenced like last season as well, right? You know, kind of in passing, and this year it capitalized on it.
So you think one of the things they referenced this year will be?
Well, I think the only one that was repeatedly brought up was Back to the Future.
Do you think we get time travel?
Well, I'd say, is it possible through the Upside Down that there is some element of time travel, and that's a way we can get Hopper back? I don't know. Like I said, it is a bit of a stretch, but I'm saying it's the only thing that we're repeatedly referencing, and probably just because it's the big movie of the year. Don't get me wrong, but
what about the Day of the Dead references? Like, if we get all the Russians flayed, does it turn into something of a zombie idea?
Oh yeah, that works.
I could see that. Yeah, a lot of fun ideas. But yeah, the one other wish list item I've got is that we need Susie in person next time.
Oh yeah. She used to join the gang.
She used to be in the gang. She used to be visiting Dustin when everything goes down, and she's instrumental. That's the other thing. Will doesn't take his D&D stuff with him, and Lucas and Dustin give it to Erica, who looks actually quite excited. She opens that box and she's like,
she does.
She's like, D&D.
They had a little moment up on the, we're up on the hill, I think, where they were to try and find the directions. They were like, that was right after the My Little Pony debate.
Yeah.
and Steve and Roman are like, the what now?
I can't remember it, but it wasn't the word debate. It was
it was a theorem or something like that.
Yeah, it was the My Little Pony like seminar or something. Like it was a very specific word.
It was, yeah. I threw debate in there because I knew I couldn't think of the actual word, so I just threw in something to the right effect.
No, it was gold. I love this show. I mean, I said this back in season 1, and it surprised me. Is like this show is like all the stuff I love watching growing up, mishmashed together, in a very fun, inventive, and just like I say. I mean, it's not like groundbreaking writing, but it's really solid writing where all the elements that are introduced come back and work, and they juggle so many characters, which this season perhaps more than ever they really nailed the juggling, I think. Where I liked all the different plots, they all came together at the end, and because we've already had so many different combinations of characters throughout the seasons, I wasn't spending the season going, oh man, it sucks that Dustin's not with the other kids or whatever.
No, you're like, yeah, God, let's get Dustin and Erica together.
Yeah, like anyway, but that said, it was still kind of sweet when they met up and it was like, hey, we missed you, we could have used you down there, or we could have used it up here. It was like, it was a sweet moment. And
yeah, it was. I think the characters are definitely the strongest point of the show, right, in terms of the writing. Because obviously, like you say, the plot is not super unique or it's very intentionally riffing on things.
Yeah.
It's the characters that separate it, and characters are pretty strong. And like I say, it manages to turn characters like Steve in season 1 to Steve that we love now.
Yeah, I love season 2 still. Like, it's the worst one, but it's still fun. I still think it's great. It still has some of the best episodes are still towards the end of that season. And for anyone who badmouths season 2, I just have to point to Steve. Look at what's happened to Steve over the course of that season.
I think I definitely have some problems with season 2. I think even at the time, it starts off a bit too. I think the extra episode starts off a little bit too slow.
And you didn't like the Chicago one.
Yeah, I would have just cut that whole episode and brought it down for a start. But it's still a very good season overall. There's a lot to like, and like I say, it gave us Steve and Dustin as a combo, which, if nothing else, was worth it for that alone. Even though we'd have the last, I think, was 2 episodes. The assault on the base was fantastic.
Yeah, it was 6, 8, and 9. Those 3 episodes, I remember saying at the time, like, season 1's better and more consistent, but I think those 3 episodes are better than season 1.
No, I agree with that.
That was my feelings at the time, at least.
On the whole, season 1 was definitely more consistent. So probably I'd rank it slightly higher than it.
Yeah, I think it's made me want to do a rewatch of all 3 seasons. Honestly, this episode. Like,
where are you going to get the time for that?
Honestly, I might start. I really want to watch season 1 again, and it's been long enough since season 2. It's been a while. Whether or not I go straight into season 3 again, given that obviously we just did that, I mean, I'll see.
Yeah,
how
I'm more inclined to just leave it till the run up to season 4 now, and just do a big.
You won't have time.
We'll be busy. I know, but I don't have time to do it now either.
True, but at least if you started now, you've got like a year and a half to do it. You can do it really gradually.
Episode a month.
Yeah, you've got what 16 plus 9. Yeah, you got what 25 episodes.
2 years. That probably take them that long.
One every 3 weeks. Do that, you'll probably make it just before season 4 starts.
It's terrible that I'm not sure if I can manage that.
Oh no, no. Characters are great. Big moments were emotional. I was rooting. Every time I predicted something, it didn't matter that I predicted it. I was fist pumping when Steve swerved in with the car, when the kids showed up with the fireworks, and they were trying to save Elle. So oh yeah, that song stuck in my head. Like, yeah, still is.
Yeah.
So good. And I know, because some people, this is the thing, I've seen people say they hate that moment. They hate it for a couple of reasons. They hate it because, well, the delay of Dustin having to do that is probably what got Hopper killed or captured, or whatever happened to him. And I'm like,
possibly.
Here's the thing. One, Susie does not know that. Even Dustin, even though he knows that time is sensitive, doesn't necessarily know that, like, the bad guy's on his way to Hopper at that point. And even if you want to argue that he should be aware of that or whatever, I will argue this. If this moment bothers you in Stranger Things, then Stranger Things is not for you, and it never was.
No, I agree. But even on, like, in the plot perspective side of things that people are complaining about, let's say hypothetically he doesn't sing it, she doesn't give him the number, they never even get into the vault. They're all screwed.
Yeah.
How is that better?
Yeah, and Bauman got it wrong first, so if anything, it's his fault. Just FYI.
Yeah. He's a smart guy. He has a lot of books. He could have looked this up beforehand.
He's a smart guy. He has a lot of books. That's how it works.
Well, I mean, Just saying.
Yeah. So no, like those moments are part of what makes Stranger Things special to me. Is that it, like, and the only one that stuck out to me is feeling out of place was the new Coke speech. That is the only time this season, maybe the whole show. I can't remember if there may have been something small at some point in the other seasons. I can't remember now, but
Probably, but that was the one that was quite egregious, wasn't it?
But every like like because I see people being very cynical, going, "Oh, they wanted Back to the Future music playing, so they had a scene in the theater because they're hiding in the theater." Went back to, I was like, "Yeah, and what's wrong with that?
No,
That's great."
I'm a cynical person, right? Like really cynical, and in the cynical side of me goes, yeah, they want this because it plays on the nostalgia, but
The whole show's built around that.
no, it is, and that's the thing. But as long as it works in context of the scene, I'm okay with it, and it did here, right? That was in context, it worked. The new Coke thing was just no, let's just talk about new Coke for 90 seconds.
Yeah, like this show, the whole appeal of this show is for people. I mean, it still works for younger audiences, and I imagine that it'll have this weird effect where for a younger audience who's watching it, if they're teenagers just now, they'll discover a lot of things from the 80s because of this show. But for anyone over a certain age, and that age being like early mid-20s probably, I imagine, who grew up watching stuff on TV from the 80s, and obviously people who were actually kids in the 80s, I imagine as well, or even more so than I am. But like, for all those people in this demographic from early 20s up till probably around early 40s, that this show is like, here's everything you loved as a kid. But that's the thing, is that it's definitely made to appeal to that age group. It's not for kids. It still works for kids, to definitely a PG-13 audience for sure, but it's not aimed at kids.
I think they were pushing the PG-13 a few times.
There's a couple of moments, sure, but it's. Yeah. I mean, but put it this way though: when I was that age, I wasn't just watching stuff.
You'd be watching this, yeah, no, absolutely.
I'd been watching. I was already watching like Halloween by this point. Like,
don't get me wrong, I was too. I'm not saying they shouldn't be watching it because if it was me, I'm going, sure, knock yourself.
I was watching way worse things than what's in Stranger Things at this. At that
exactly. Age. I'm just saying. If we are strictly going, oh no, it's PG-13, it's not. They went beyond that now.
I'm pretty sure I saw I Spit on Your Grave at 15. I believe that was when I watched that movie.
Bold choice.
And the funniest part about it is, I ordered this box set that had that in it, and my mother knew what the movie was because my mother doesn't care about movies, but apparently my grandparents on her side were actually into horror films. Apparently, skipped a generation. Like, they weren't alive long enough for me to actually get anything from them. Like, I never, I don't remember them. I was really young when they died. But apparently that just genetically skipped a generation, and my love of horror movies came from them, apparently. But she was aware of it because apparently my grandparents watched that movie.
And she was like, fine, just watch it.
Hey, we were past the... At 15, no. We were past the point of her telling me what I couldn't watch.
No, at that point, you might have had to have her to buy a few things for you, and they can technically refuse, but they're past the point of even trying because they know if you're going to want to watch it, you're just going to watch it.
Yeah, well, I mean, at that point, I had my own card. I was ordering DVDs online, so it wasn't an issue.
That's fair. If you're at a store, though.
I never did, though, because it was cheaper to buy them online.
No, that's true. Can't argue with that.
Got my first debit card, and I was like, "Yep, baby." Well, I was probably 16 then. Actually, I think you get that at 16. I don't think I was
16.
Yeah, I must have been 16. But immediately I started buying stuff, and I love the idea that they never actually checked it. If I was buying something that was clearly above that age, movie-wise, they never checked. It was almost this assumption that you had to be 18 to get a card, but you didn't. You got one at 16.
It's at the delivery driver's discretion, actually, because I know in the UK. This is something you can't do in the US, so this is going to blow some people's minds here. You can order alcohol online and have it delivered to your house. Yeah, you can't do that in the US. It's a whole thing. So we can order it from, typically you'll do it from the supermarkets, but Amazon, you can order it. You can order pretty much any alcohol you want from Amazon, and it'll arrive the next day. It's beautiful. But it's up to the delivery drivers to check your ID and go, hey, yes, you're 18, whatever, and and if not, they'll just take it back and it'll go back to Amazon or the supermarket and it'll be refunded and refuse sale. It becomes their responsibility.
As someone who doesn't drink booze, I've never actually been aware of that.
Yeah, like I have, like from even like before I was ordering, I was like when I'm like 15, the parents did like if they ordered a shop online, and it had booze in it, they had to be around to sign for it. Because if it doesn't, I was, I'm 15, we're going out. Can you just sign for the shopping when it arrives?
Yeah.
Sure, no problem. But if it has booze in it, they have to be there to sign for it because they will check.
That's amusing.
Yeah.
I was not aware. I mean, I didn't think you couldn't. It never occurred to me that there was any reason not to. But like,
Yeah, but it blew my mind when I learned Americans can't order booze online at all. It's so restrictive. It's weird.
yeah, odd. Yeah. I was about to say something very political. I'm going to hold it back though.
Oh yeah, that's where we draw the line, is it?
Well, it wasn't about booze. It was about something else. But mocking that the booze is so restricted, but something else isn't.
Implication is enough, I think.
Take the implication from what you will from that. But yeah, what a weird tangent at the end of this episode. But
yes, this was a good hour of Stranger Things talk.
Yeah, it was over an hour of Stranger Things talk, just a little bit of on this at the end. So yeah, best season.
Sure,
I'm saying it.
I'll just commit right now. Why not?
Best season. This might be the best episode, and Never Ending Stories is the best season. That's where I stand on this right now.
I'm struggling to disagree, even though I want to just bomb and be like, I hate kids. It holds a special spot in my heart.
Oh dear. See, this is when I don't mind a musical number when it has context, and I love that he's shit at it. Dustin's not a very good singer, and but he has like an evolution. He starts off very nervous, and he gets better at it, and you can tell that they've done this before, which is why they're in sync and why they know what they're doing.
Yeah,
it's not miraculous.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Which almost guarantees, I think, that they're going to have another song next season at some point.
I hope so. I can almost see either Mike and Elle or Max and Lucas having a song like, we've got to outdo them. We can't have Dustin being better than us.
I could just almost see like there being a moment, and it won't be like a serious one at this point. It'll just be like, we'll find out they've got a different song at some point in the season, and it'll be something equally kind of nostalgic, where like, oh, it's from this movie, or it's you know, whatever. But delightful, absolutely delightful. Cannot wait. So hopefully the wait for season 4 is not quite as long as season 3, and they maybe make that next, because it's a year and a half till Christmas 2020. I think it's a fairly feasible, given the gap between season 1 and 2, and season 2 to 3. Was a bit over a year and a half, but not like a by the amount that would say. I don't think they can do it again.
When was season 2 again?
Season 2 was Halloween 2017.
Okay, yeah.
So it was a year. It was right at the start of July, so we'll call it a year and a half plus 2 months.
Yeah.
So if
it's about 20 months, and we're about. We're quite a significant amount of months less than that from Christmas 2020, I guess.
17, 18.
Yeah.
I think they can do it.
But we'll see.
It depends.
If not, just go for the Valentine's. It gives them an extra, It
depends how quickly they're ready to go, I suppose. And maybe the extra time helped, though, because this was a tighter season. So maybe, It
was better, yeah. I'd rather them just not hit the exact time to line up with it than rush it. Yeah, if let's say it is set at Christmas, but you know what? It's not ready till March.
I will say this though: if it does hit at Christmas, we typically have a later schedule in Christmas, so we can probably go through the episodes much quicker than we normally do.
That's true, because typically that has been reserved for 3% the last few years.
You mean Travellers?
Travellers. I don't know where that came from.
There's a very little chance if it happens to hit around Christmas when it's quieter that we will at least hit an episode a day, maybe even like 2 in the first day to get it kick-started.
Possibly.
It wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities. So, hopefully, that comes to fruition. But that has been our discussion of the season's finale of Stranger Things.
Yeah, if we can drag this out another minute, we're as long as the episode.
Well, the outro takes a bit of time, so you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. You can support us for as little as $1 per month, and you can get bonus stuff, exclusive stuff. You get some stuff early, but mostly you get to support us and keep all the content coming. So go over there. Even if you're not going to become a patron, though, it's handy to go over there because you can see the top post that has all the links to all the different shows, all the different audio feeds that we have. Has some other useful links, such as my Amazon wish list in case you want to buy me something nice.
Whoa! Where the hell? Where was the offer to put mine? It's my goddamn birthday today. No, where's my offer?
I had this idea like 2 months ago, and I said, "Hey, have you got a wish list?" I asked you.
No, you didn't.
I did.
No, you didn't, because I have a wish list. You've never once said this to me.
I'll add yours too. You can have yours added. I don't mind adding yours.
Disgraceful.
I don't mind adding yours. I thought in case that any millionaires start becoming fans, I'll make sure.
This is because it's too much hassle for us to set up PO boxes, basically.
No, it's not that it's too much hassle. It's that it's too expensive to set up PO boxes.
And hassle, because you have to have multiple ones.
Well, no, but you would just set up your own. I wouldn't set up. Why would I set up yours?
No, exactly. But what I mean is, it's just that's hassle.
I don't mind setting one up. My problem is that it's actually quite a big fee per month to keep one.
Yeah.
Keep one open. Which I guess would be fine. It's maybe something like a Patreon goal. Actually, maybe like eventually. Oh, sure, we'll open a couple of PO boxes and people can send stuff should they want. But for now, the best we can do is an Amazon wishlist. Should anyone care to get stuff on there? But I just thought I'd mention it anyway. So you can also support us, of course, by liking, subscribing, commenting. You can rate the podcast, the audio podcast, on your podcast app, Apple Podcasts, whatever it is. Give us a 5-star review and a nice little blurb, and that helps more people find the show and our discussions. You can, of course, find us on Twitter at @mild_fuzz for channel updates and all sorts. But yeah, otherwise we should promote other content that's coming, other TV shows, Netflix specifically, coming up soon.
A lot.
We have coming up Dear White People Season 3, Mindhunter Season 2. I will be on my own doing Glow Season 3. Those are all coming up within the next month, so you can look forward to all those.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Is there anything non-Netflix worth mentioning? Because if anyone's gone over and checked out the other audio feeds, they'll see this is the Netflix feed, but we have one for all our other TV shows as well.
Yes. Well, we're working through Handmaid's Tale and Big Little Lies, which is just about to finish its second season. The Boys is coming soon from Amazon. There's a sneaking suspicion that Amazon might shadow drop The Expanse Season 4, which if it does, then everything else is getting pushed out of the way whilst we do Expanse.
Yeah. And if not, though, I think they got a panel on Saturday at Comic-Con. We're expecting it to be sometime in the next couple of months, I think.
At least, we'll at least get a date this weekend, if not a shadow drop. So yeah, that is us though. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?